trap house, or entrapment.
Our next story is about someone who got an unwanted 15 minutes of fame that may land him 7 years in jail.
And why is there a camera crew during this arrest? Stay tuned.
Fred Flintstone, that is a fake name, but you're a real person. The police are harassing you about drugs. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about it.
I just, back in 2022, I was ambushed by the task force range because they said that they saw me do a hand-to-hand drug transaction. So they was trying to, build a case on me or whatever.
Okay.
So I ended up.
So they caught they caught you in the act.
That's what they said.
Well, what happened?
Well, what had happened was the person that they said that I did, the hand-to-hand transaction with was my daughter's grandmother.
Okay.
So we was in the me and my baby mother was in the process of moving.
Okay.
My son, 2 years old now, he was about to be due around the time that this happened.
Okay.
We was in the process of moving, so we was staying at a hotel. We ended up renting out a U-Haul. So the U-Haul that we rented out, it was in my daughter's grandmother's name. Okay. So we ended up having the U-Haul over the time that we paid for it. So we either had to turn the U-Haul in or, pay again for, extended time. So we ended up paying again for extended time. Okay.
So they saw you handing cash to your grandma for the U-Haul?
Yes.
Now, and there was no drugs?
No one had drugs?
Nobody had drugs.
So they didn't arrest you and then find drugs on you?
No.
Did they arrest your grandma and find drugs on her?
No.
There's no drugs anywhere that they have. They didn't confiscate any drugs.
No.
What is it that they're charging you with?
This is the story. So they was trying to charge me with trafficking or something like that. So like I said, I didn't take it. So this year, January, February, March, April, May, June 17th is when my trial had started. I had a whole trial.
Okay, you said you have a trial. What are the charges the exact name of the charges that are being brought against you for that trial?
Like trafficking. It was trafficking.
Okay.
You mean like dealing? Like, is that what he's talking about? Drug dealing?
Yeah.
So, okay. But I just want to make sure.
Trafficking means
trafficking.
a lot of things.
Yeah. So you don't. But there's no drugs, right? So, I know a lot of.
They found drugs later.
They
right?
found. Yeah. Tell us, how did where are the drugs in this story? I assume there's somewhere drugs, because most prosecutors I know don't like to charge. I mean, you barely can get away with charging someone with murder if there's no body. It's really hard to charge someone with trafficking if there's no drugs.
That's what I'm saying. So I ended up going on the trial, and on the trial I was found not guilty. So all the charges was, dismissed.
Amazing.
Or it was acquitted or something like that.
Okay. Those are all good words.
Great.
So while this whole trial was going, this is the tricky part. So the same detective that was on this case and stuff, they started harassing me. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
They started bringing, calling my phone, showing up to my house unannounced, looking for me, pressuring me to sell them drugs. But they was the police, but they was acting like they were users or something like that. So I ended up, because I was, on drugs myself. So okay. I knew where to, get some stuff from. So, me being scared, from the pressure that they putting on me, I ended up making a transaction with them or whatever. So
the original charges get dropped, but then they keep coming back to your home and trying to buy drugs from you.
Right.
So you sold someone drugs. Your argument is that you were feeling pressure to do that. You were in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was
what?
So it was
couple questions, buddy. One, where are you? What state are you in?
Ohio.
Okay. And then the next question is, what are the drugs that you sold them? What type of drug?
Methamphetamine.
Okay. And is that what you're using yourself too?
No,
What do you use?
I was using fentanyl.
Fentanyl, man, brother.
Side note, not ideal. I think
He
you know
knows,
that.
he
but
knows. He's
yeah,
got a son.
just
He's
we
got
gotta
a
say it.
2-year-old
We just gotta
son.
say it. We
Yeah.
gotta say it. We gotta say it.
And have you been able to stop?
Yes, I'm in treatment right now.
I love
Excellent.
that. Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
Okay. This is a lot of pressure. This is a lot of stress. I'm sorry that you're going through this. I want you to be able to be there for your son. We all do. How long ago did the entrapment happen? How long ago did the cop come to your house and ask you to buy meth?
This had happened, I believe, April 17th or something like that
Of this year.
this year.
And did you actually sell that cop the meth, or did you tell him where he could go find it?
I met up with him and with the other dealer and stuff.
Okay. So now they got you on a
Wait, but it didn't go from your hand to his hand. You brought him to a dealer?
Right.
And do they charge the dealer
you
as well?
Never touched.
No, but they ain't get the, you know what I'm saying? I was like the middleman of it. They ain't get a chance to, you know what I'm saying? See the
How much meth was it?
I want to say it was like 4 ounces or something like that.
Okay. And what are your new charges? What are the charges they're bringing against you now?
They just bringing drug trafficking, possessions, just drug trafficking and possessions.
And do you have a public defender?
I do.
Okay. What's your public defender's position been so far?
So the public defender that I have is the same public defender that just represented me, on the trial that I just beat. He ended up, you know what I'm saying, still on this case or whatever. They was talking about 7 years or something like that, but I told them I ain't want to do that, you know what I'm saying? And then they came back and they was talking about 6 years, and I told them that I didn't want to do that, So in the meantime, from April all the way up until November, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, 7 months, right? These people ended up broadcasting the whole situation, so because how the police came for me, they came for me like as if I was, a real big dog or something like that. So they got a show out called Operation Undercovers or something like that. It's like a police show where they do drug busts and stuff like that. And they broadcasted it all over TV shows such as like HBO Max and you know what I'm saying?
Wait, he's in
TV.
Ohio?
Yeah.
They can do that in Ohio. Dang.
Yeah. So, Bill, do you have any thoughts on the legal
I
analysis?
I have just a quick question as it leads up to the time you actually connected the sale. So you were not selling at that time. You had not been selling. This person continuously asked you for it. How was this a one-off ask, or was this multiple calls, visits, etc., leading up to when you actually made the connection?
It was both calls and stuff.
So you kind of sold you exchanged, it was in your hand, you sold it to him in exchange for cash. Did they search your house and find other things? Where were the other charges?
They searched my residence. And, like I said, I don't sell drugs. I just know where to get them. So when they searched my residence, they didn't find anything in the house or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Sorry, do you have previous charges?
No, I don't.
No previous charges and no drugs in
Huh.
the house? That's I don't know. That at least those aspects look good for you.
Those are important.
Yeah, and that's and that's what I've been doing. A lot of talking to a lot of different attorneys and stuff because I'm fixing to after Christmas. My family and stuff is fixing to get me a lawyer and stuff like that because they just paid a $25,000 bond for me to get out. So I'm out right now on the bond, but I'm on house arrest right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not too much that I can do right now. So I'm depending on my family and stuff right now.
So let me dive into the legal analysis for a quick minute. And the reason why I asked you about the number of times they came to you is because Ohio's entrapment laws really differentiate between whether you were given an opportunity to commit a crime or the idea of committing the crime was planted in your head and then you went and did it. And here I think it's the latter of that because you did not have drugs to sell. The case law is so clear. If you have drugs and some cop comes and goes, sell me some drugs, and you sell it, not entrapped. But if they harass you, so if they keep coming to you, they keep being persistent. Hey man, I know you can help me find some. I know you can do it.
Well, it's more that he wasn't in the business of selling drugs.
Agreed.
Like it's even
another,
more than that. He
right.
he even used the words middleman. I had to be a middleman. What is a middleman? It's someone who's not doing the primary function.
But here, as I understand it correctly, the dealer and the cop never met. You were the functional middleman after this cop had come to you multiple times. Hey, help me get it, help me get it. And then you end up selling a second-degree felony amount. 4 ounces would be 115 grams. 115 grams is a second-degree felony in Ohio. So now it's like they took one little thread of something, which was entrapment, and now they've blown it up into something much, much bigger. Great on you that there was nothing at your house, because that would definitely have been a very bad thing. But I'm with you that entrapment, a lot of times we hear people say, I was entrapped, and 99% of the time they're wrong. This time, it might actually be the truth.
Right, and that's what my lawyer was saying, because like the same officers that was on the last case that I beat, which was a couple months ago, was the same people on this case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when they said like on my discovery packet, it said that they received a call from an anonymous tip that somebody by the name of which is they said was me or whatever, was selling drugs on the west side of the Dayton area, so like they ended up pushing up on me. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, they was coming to my house unannounced. It would be times I wouldn't even be home, and my girlfriend would be home, and they would come to the house asking like, where's at? Calling me by my real name, and my girl like, I don't know who no. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like all type of stuff going on. And then like even after I bonded out, I still had to wait to get indicted. You know what I'm saying? So like while I'm waiting to get indicted, I'm on house arrest. So they still texting my phone from anonymous numbers talking about, hey, it's CJ. Can I get a 50, man? I'm really sick. And I'm just playing along with them because now I know what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think so. First off, am I wrong that Ohio has transparency laws that do make it okay to show like criminal records more publicly, which is why Ohio and like Florida and I think Texas and California
there's a number.
get kind of targeted by these.
Yeah, Shane's hitting the nail on the head, which is everything you're feeling is valid, and what we were talking about, subjective truths versus what's right or wrong. Ohio and many other states allow this to be the case. They allow mugshots to be done, arrests to happen. There is no privacy right to protecting yourself from being filmed when you're being arrested or someone else who's publicly there. But
I think that it potentially helps you in that if HBO is coming through wherever Ohio and going through to the police department and going like, hey, we have these shoot dates that we're trying to. You could easily make a case that there was incentive and motivation
there's something
to be trying to get an arrest on camera for entertainment or fame or notoriety.
On top of the fact that you already beat them once.
Yeah.
So let's say no TV show. They still hate you.
So I'm gonna talk to you a couple things, okay, Fred? Okay, so first of all, again, my heart's really going out for this one. I'm gonna start with you're supposed to do like something kind and then the harsh part and then something kind and then it's called like a positive sandwich or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do the Band-Aid, okay? You did F up and you sold drugs. Okay? We have to understand that there. So then, just because you did do that does not mean you deserve everything else that is happening. And I want to give a comparison here. So Chris Hansen had the show To Catch a Predator.
Yep.
Time he got ready to go, the Harris County Sheriff's Department and the rest of the task force agents were in position to make the arrest.
On the ground! Get down on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get down, please! Put your hand behind your back.
And they did all these investigative journalism stings, and a lot of them, they did not follow the letter of the law, and they made procedural errors. And because of that, there was one particular sting that they did where they had to release all the people. Now, these are actual child molesters. These are actual that went to go meet. They took the act, not entrapment. However, all of those people, the charges were dropped because procedures were not followed. Are the pedophiles the good guys? No, but it's important that we have constitutional rights and the procedure is followed. And we're seeing that in this example, right? Should you have sold those drugs or helped the person buy the drugs? No, but you still have rights. There's still a duty. The idea that cops with a TV show are going around to people who are not selling drugs and saying, hey, can you sell me drugs? Hey, can you sell me drugs? You never know who's short $40 on groceries. You never know who's worried about making rent. That's just not the system that we want to be in. And so why we are so interested in talking to you and making sure that you get help, you were wrong to sell the drugs, but that doesn't mean that they are allowed to throw the book at you and throw your life away. And it feels like in a lot of ways that's what's happening to you right now.
And if someone is saying they're sick, or they're putting a lot of pressure on you regularly, and you're kind of just wanting them to go away, you can make a case. You can make a case that they had tried X number of times and you hadn't done this in the past. I would be pursuing employment too, so that when the trial arrives, you're not only gainfully employed, but showing the opportunities that you weren't able to get, possibly because of the TV stuff.
Yeah.
I would be
It's a
keeping
great
a
way to go
record
about
of all of the harassment and threats from others that have stemmed from this, because when you brought up jury nullification, my understanding of jury nullification is that you can make a case to the jury if the jury understands what nullification is like, hey, I screwed up, but you are the jury's like, yes, this person jaywalked, but they've already served. We don't agree with the way that this was enforced.
This punishment doesn't fit this crime.
Punishment doesn't fit the crime, and so and there's a lot of there would be a lot of case to be made for nullification.
There's also something I'll say is, I'm going to split up the criminal and the civil side. Your public defender is not going to deal with civil charges, which I'll talk about in a second. So they need to be focused on that entrapment, whether you actually, met the elements of the crime, whether they have the evidence. But here's one thing they definitely should get is, if there is a level of entrapment or just bias and whatnot that you want to show, what better than to have a film crew taping all of this information? You wouldn't normally get that. Maybe you only got the body cam, but here you've got cameras running during the entirety of it. All it takes is one little guy going, we finally got this motherfucker, or like, he won't beat these charges, or and I'm glad we finally found one that worked for your show. Any of those little things like that, you put that in front of a jury of your peers, they're instantly flipped to the other side.
That's what they said when they was arresting me. Cause they had on ski masks and stuff like that. They faces wasn't exposed or stuff. But like after I was arrested and stuff, like I had multiple officers, coming to me talking about some you ain't getting away from this one. We got you this time. You about to go do 8 to 10 years. Like, they was real life telling me all type of, stuff like, dang, y'all been plotting on me. That's crazy.
Fred, you've got a lot to work with here. And unfortunately, this is something that's going to keep happening, right? Like, you're going to be in this fight for a while. I want us to stay in touch and communicate. And we'd like to help you find, if you do decide that you need an attorney outside of your public defender.
We're gonna send you some resources on that front, a little bit of the kind of a collection of this different things that you can run through with your public attorney, as well as sending you a separate civil attorney. So, for example, just to touch real quickly on the privacy, name, image, likeness, normally the show Cops gets releases from the people that are being arrested because of the complexity and gray area of a commercial show making money off of your name, image, and likeness, regardless of the fact that it was in public or not in public. Separate and apart from that is if it has, one of your kids or your family members or bystanders. That's why you'll see some episodes where they're blurred and some where they're not. Is because of that. It sounds like they've already released it and they didn't blur it.
Yeah.
So, and unless you signed away your name, image, likeness, or there's some specific statute that none of us know exists, then there may be some way there. That is completely, even a criminal defense attorney is not going to know about that. So we'll send you some name, image, likeness attorneys who have dealt with that kind of issue. That's more on the media side. So you can at least talk through that potential option of the fact that this, let's say you get off free, this will live on the internet forever, right? So there's a separate type of compensation or consequence that needs to happen related to the TV show.
Especially if they're able to get the actual raw footage and compare that to what was edited and released.
Yeah.
And,
The editing table
they
can
may
be
show
part.
some bias as well.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Fred, thank you for calling in. Do you feel like you were heard today?
Yeah, yes, sir, for
All
sure.
right. We're here for you, brother. I'm sorry that you're going through this, and I want to tell you that I'm really proud that you're doing things the right way now and you're fighting, and I can hear your son in the background, and I'm so happy about your future, and we're going to help you get through this past, okay?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys.
All right, brother.
All
have
right,
a good
have a
Christmas.
good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reactions.
I mean, it just is such a crazy situation that they would release a TV show without his consent in the first place. That's where it gets kind of tricky, because there's probably things that were said and done behind the scenes. It doesn't help, though, that there was a charge previously. Like, that always never helps. But it's crazy, though, that he continuously got knocked by the cops, like, multiple times, So that's just a crazy part about that.
Be interested to see the police report.
Yeah,
It's a little hard to get totally clear answers.
Yeah, if there were
from him.
answers on the board and stuff, that would be a lot more.
I mean, I think out of just sheer curiosity, I feel like I've heard that some of our listeners, because they hear some of these cases and they're like, I can just file a public records request. They're like, I'll just file a FOIA just out of my own curiosity to find out what happens. And it's curious if the police department will have communications because they had to coordinate with the crew.
Yeah.
But then did they get copies of any of the tapes and things like that? Now you start getting into issues about the prosecution, because the cops have the evidence, need to give that evidence over and they didn't do it. I'll tell you guys about this one crazy story. You guys may have heard of this. There was a young man who was accused of, I think, murder, and he was arrested, and he was like, had no evidence to be able to show where he was. He was just like, I was at home or something like that, but he couldn't prove it. He had just no way to prove it. But eventually they were able to figure out that they were filming a segment of Seinfeld at Yankee Stadium while he was there with his daughter.
Wow.
And they have video of him in the background of the shot. And so like these lawyers were like digging. And they were like looking at photos, and they like found a photo from afar that they thought maybe that's him from the TV coverage. And then they were like, no, wait a minute, this actually was happening there. They got him out. That was what sparked me on like, get the raw footage. What else will be there that could let him out?
I feel like nowadays with like cell phones, you're always being tracked. You can provide your alibi pretty quickly. Your Honor, look, I was masturbating from 3:32 to 3:36. So I felt like you had conflicted feelings about this caller. Is that a fair assessment of like you're not really sure where the lines are on what went too far? Or tell me about your feeling about the caller.
Well, I mean, at first it was, it was just the length of the story was just like, what's all of this background about? It was like, it seemed like an unnecessary amount of background information. So I was just kind of confused trying to get down to the bottom of like, wait, what are
really
you
was
actually
the issue?
saying? What was the actual charge?
I felt like
the actual.
I felt like that as well. I think it's super relevant to him, and
I think he may just not have been terribly informed about like what all of the charges were necessarily.
Not knowing his charges was not great. That is not ideal. He should, especially for callers, if people are going to call in, have your paperwork, right? Like it helps us help you.
Have your ticket and ID out when you board the plane.
Yeah. His story was so important because if he was charged and found innocent for some BS, right, handing his grandma cash, if that is true, And then after he was found innocent, the cops continued to like that.
Yeah.
There's a pattern there. So I feel like the whole
is
story.
very
And
common.
then he was saying lawsuits. So I mean, like, if he won a lawsuit in the past, then that's like maybe more, motivation on paper for him
So
to
if I
have
was
been
going to
targeted.
if I was going to
but-
summarize what I think I heard him say was there were some trumped up charges when he was handing off the keys for the U-Haul or whatever. They arrested him. He was acquitted. During that time, he fought either then or right after he filed suit against either the county or the sheriff's department about it. During that time, he was continuously asked to sell them drugs. He eventually did connect them and acted as the middleman to sell them drugs. During the course of that, now he's a public defender who kind of sucks and maybe not so good. While during the arrest, he was filmed. And then that went public, and it's caused a bunch of other issues.
Yeah.
This is one of the more multi-layered, onion peeling back type cases that we've talked through. Yeah. But yeah,
What do you think?
You got to know your own story.
Innocent, guilty, lying, telling the truth, cops overreaching. There's a lot of options here. Get in the comment section. Tell us what you think. This is Hardly Legal. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to be here for you when you need that cheap date.